What's going on, beautiful people? It's your boy here, Wesley from 8 Connection TV here on YouTube and watchactv.com, the two places of the World Wide Web where we actually adopt similar connections despite our differences. And I wanted to talk to you about Big Brother episode 14. I don't know why, but I could have swore Julie said that episodes are going to start or come back on Wednesdays and Thursdays only. She didn't mention Sunday, but maybe I was somewhere in a different universe when she said Sunday, but it came on Sunday and I didn't know it was coming on Sunday. My bad. This is my birthday week, so I have a lot going on this week. I'm trying to maintain certain productions with the network, and Mona Simone will come back when the Baddies ATL reunion starts, and then after that will be the Jocelyn Hernandez reviews, because some of you are requesting that, but it'll come back once everything starts with Baddies ATL. That was the whole reason why Mona came back. But anyways, I want to talk about episode 14. The more I watch this show, the more I see the little updates on Twitter, the more I wish I would have auditioned for this show like 3-4 years ago. This is definitely a show that I could win. This is definitely a show that I would be good at. All comps I would be great at, except for that wall thing where they have to hang. I don't know. I work with cameras and stuff all the time, so I have to hold my hands up for a long periods of time, and an hour and 19 minutes and stuff like that, I wouldn't be able to do that. I just know that. But all those other competitions, I would be so freaking good at, and I would beast. I would beast. Unlike Derek F. Oh my God. Anyways, let's get into my notes. So we're on the infamous wall HOH comp thing, and where you have the water, the rain, and the throw up and all of that. I like the whole ship concept, and I like how the passengers were throwing up. They got seasick and they were throwing up on the players. So I'm looking at this wall, right? And I already know who's going to be first to drop. And of course, I was right, like I normally am. I normally am. I'm normally right. It was Derek F. Derek F dropped after 9 freaking minutes. I just think to myself, he hasn't won any comp yet. He hasn't won the visual comp. He hasn't won the memory comp. He hasn't won a puzzle. He hasn't won physical. He hasn't won endurance. He has not won anything. Anything. And you know, it would be like a phenomenal thing if I felt like he had the capacity to win something, but without winning anything ever, it gives me, I'm a floater to the end. It gives me all I'm relying on is my social game, and that's all. And I kind of felt that way about Tiffany until she was like the 4th one to drop from this wall thing. So I was like, okay. And then right before her was Azza. So Azza is better than Derek F, someone who kept the olive right under her chin. Anyways, I digress. Claire ends up dropping second because she realizes that there's no point in her playing this game because she doesn't have to go through any of this. Why be HOH when she's safe anyway until jury? So she drops, and then right after that, Sarah Beth and Hannah drop. And then of course, we have to play to the fakery where Sarah Beth and Hannah hug each other. Like I would have to figure out a way to do all of that. Like, how do you, oh, thank you. When I know you trying to get me out the ass, I don't know. I just don't know. I would probably be like Davon, where I will hug somebody and then I would look at the cameras like, this bitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know about that hugging if I know that somebody is going to get me out. Britt drops. She actually did a pretty decent job. And then right after Britt, Azza dropped. She lasted for like an hour and some change. Wow, right? Then right after Azza, Tiffany drops. Not like, what, a minute after? And I'm like, okay, all right, these women are doing pretty good. I'm thinking that these women are coming through. They're about to create some waves. Let go. You know what I'm saying? Then right after that, Alyssa drops. And you know, Azza and Tiffany are like, oh my God, she's dropping, she's dropping, she's dropping, she's dropping. Because Tiffany just kept saying the whole thing. Alyssa cannot win, Alyssa cannot win, Alyssa cannot win, Alyssa cannot win. Did she really think that she was going to be put up if Alyssa won? No. She didn't want her masterful plan with Pawn versus members of the cookout to be jeopardized if Alyssa won. And so Derek X winning puts her plan, still keeps her plan in motion. So the people that are left are Xavier and Derek X. Xavier didn't even have to drop. Like, he wasn't going to drop. And I think Xavier is playing a really good game at this point. He's like floating at a point like right mid-range where like he can win practically anything that he wants to win. He's just choosing not to because he doesn't want to put a target on his back. Right now, the targets are placed on Derek X and Christian because they keep winning vetoes and HOHs. And so I thought that was very, very smart. Very, very smart. And, you know, Xavier is chilling, but he's like, look, I don't want to win this thing, so I'm going to just give it to you. But I'm going to make sure before I get off this thing that you tell me that I'm safe. So, you know, Derek X is telling Xavier that Xavier is safe. He won't see the block. He also told Alyssa that Alyssa was safe and she wouldn't see the block. So Xavier drops and Derek X wins. But should he have taken the win now? Should he or should he give it to, I don't know, giving it to Alyssa, what would that have done for him? It would have kept him out of hot water because he could have made a deal with Alyssa to not be put on the block. And probably Alyssa probably just would have went after the Jokers. So that would have kept the heat off of him. I don't know. Derek X drops last, which makes him HOH, and Hannah comes over and gives him the craziest, sickest hug ever, and they're sitting there swimming in the slime, making it clear as day that they're besties. Of course, they were on the Aces. 2 of their members got taken out, one by them and the other by them, matter of fact. So they're the last 2 Aces, and they're elated to win. Xavier comes up and gives, you know, Derek X a hug, and he's like, yeah, you remember you said you were going to keep me safe, but I want to keep the team safe too. I want to keep the team safe. And he's like, the Kings, I want to keep the Kings safe. And I'm thinking to myself, like, that's not how this works. Like, we made the deal that was on the wall. You don't get off and say, hey, I want to do this now too. That's not how it works. But X did it just to kind of like smooth things over and save face with the Kings, because when he was up there, he only saved himself. If he was really worried about the Kings, he would have did that before dropping. But then again, he didn't want to make it seem like it was, you know, like all out in everybody's faces that he was still on the Team Kings and he's trying to save the Kings. But I don't know. Xavier can't really ask out of Derek X, especially after that wasn't the original deal and he had already dropped. It's too late. It's too late to be making these side deals. What are we talking about here? Tiffany just seems to be talking way too much, and she has a conversation with Derek X. Derek X is like, oh, Xavier wanted me to save the Kings. Tiffany's like, fuck that. You don't have to save the Kings. Forget that. He can't be asking that. It's your personal game. You got to work for your personal game. On the flip side, they have another conversation where Hannah is there, and she's like, well, what are you going to do about the Royal Flush? Are you going to go against the Royal Flush? And Hannah's like, what's the Royal Flush? Derek X is looking at Tiffany like, huh? What did you just say? And Hannah picked it up right away, and Tiffany leaves, and then she confronts Derek X about it, like, what is the Royal Flush? What is this? And Derek X tries to like tell her in the most sensible way, where she's like, where he's like, yeah, the Royal Flush is over. It was basically like a cover-up alliance, and it's a dub. It's gonna be over soon. Like, don't worry about it. But of course, Hannah is not stupid. She's worried about it. So she goes and talks to Tiffany like, what is this about the Royal Flush? And why am I just finding this out? And I'm only asking because it would make sense, since I'm not a part of the Royal Flush, that that's the reason why I was put up. It would make sense. And Tiffany's like, what? What are you talking about? Who told you about the Royal Flush? Did Derek X tell you about the Royal Flush? And she was like, no, you told me about the Royal Flush. And Tiffany's like, what? When? When you were sitting right there, girl. It came out your mouth. See, that's how you know Tiffany is not the greatest liar, because if she was, she would be able to hold her mouth for a longer period of time. You know what I'm saying? Like, to have the Royal Flush just blab out like that. I don't know. But then again, though, maybe that's because she really, really trusts Hannah, and she, at this point, are so, like, so they're so in cahoots. She's like, oh, well, like, we're talking about the Royal Flush. Girl, you ain't going nowhere anyway, so let's talk about it. I don't know. What do y'all think about this? Do y'all think that Tiffany is just losing her mind? Azza and Derek F have a conversation about how Azza's face puts her in hot water. I'm not interested. Let's move on from this. Derek is talking to everyone. Derek X is talking to everyone about what he might do, what they think he should do. He clears the air with Xavier just to make sure that the Kings are not up for not being put up. You know what I'm saying? That the Kings are not necessarily safe, that the deal only applied to him. Xavier's like, yeah, I understand that was the deal we made, but you know, I just hope that the royal flush can stay intact. And that would be the whole point. If you're in an alliance, the whole point would be to ride the alliance into the point where there's no alliance no more. Don't be the first person that's gonna break the alliance. We saw how that happened with Frenchie, and Frenchie had multiple alliances the first week and broke all of them in everyone's faces. If you're a part of an 8-member royal flush alliance, what makes you think that if you pick somebody up to go on the royal flush, they're not gonna feel backstabbed, they're not gonna feel betrayed, and that they're gonna go your way? Like, what makes you think you have the ability and or power to do that? The royal flush is 8 people. It's like, what? I don't understand why he felt like I don't understand why he felt like he could get away with doing this. Derek X talks to Sarah Beth and asks, what do you think about being a pawn? Sarah's like, you know, I would be angry if I were put up as a pawn. He asked Derek F the same question. Derek F is like, yeah, I wouldn't want to be put on a pawn. He's like, you know, my social game is A1. If anything, you should put a chick up as a pawn. And then she asked, Derek X asked Azza, and Azza's like, nope, I'm not going to be nobody's bitch. I don't want to be nobody's pawn. I'm not going up. Then he asks Britt, and Britt is like, I don't know how I feel about this, because, you know, at this point, I've been on the block multiple times, and you know, you never know when you're going to be safe. You know, Derek X is feeling a little bit annoyed because nobody wants to be a pawn, and whoever in their right frame of mind would want to be a pawn. What are you talking about? No. I don't even understand why. Well, I do understand why they're having the conversations, like why Derek X is having these conversations. He's allowing these people to be a part of the narrative so that they feel included and not blindsided. Cool tactic. But this is not up for like discussion with everybody. This really isn't. Like, this is your HOH. Yes, include people on a basic level conversation, but like, come on now. Like, no. Like, it's not that serious. Derek X ends up talking to Hannah, who seems to be the voice of reason, I guess, for his HOH anyway. And she's like, yeah, you should backdoor Christian. It's fine. They will come after you. What are you talking about? The 2 biggest targets in the house are you and Christian. So you have to make the move first before they make the move next. It is what it is. There's some truth to what she's saying, but I honestly feel like the Royal Flush had a full alliance of people that were good with the actual alliance. Like, they weren't going to jeopardize the Royal Flush alliance. And the fact that Derek X is making himself to be the target to do that first, we'll see how his game flips upside down. We really will see. Derek X's target is Christian, and through all the conversations that people have been having with each other, because I keep up with the Twitter updates, everyone seems to understand and are aware of the backdoor potentially being Christian. At least people that are willing to vote for Christian going home. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. And I wonder, is he gonna get Christian out of the house? And it's the best way to get Christian out of the house is to blindside him and backdoor him. And when y'all are both a part of an alliance that's supposed to be strong and solid, I don't think that's a winning argument for your story in top 2. Like, the fact that you had to blindside him to get a big target out the house. I don't know. You know, they say that Big Brother is like you win off of lying and deceiving, but I don't think so, because I think you lose a lot with that as well. Like, I don't know. I just wouldn't be able to go that route, and I wouldn't go that route. But anyways, leave your comments below. Let me know how you feel about it. My top 5 remains the same. Xavier is a really good player. A really good player, Xavier is. Like, he's like #1 now. Xavier is really good. Anyway, leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Deuces. I know. You're not about to think about not subscribing to aconnectiontv.com. Copyrighted.